US markets not taking as bad a hit as one would have expected. But then the fact of the matter is that the fears are surrounding markets across the world, especially India, which is going to open less than an hour from now.
Yeah, that's true. What I do find is that, first of all, the timing. Trump's announcement came almost pretty much towards the end of the market timing. So obviously, all the issues that one would expect to be factored in, the bond market, the currency issues, those would take time over like today, eve towards evening when the US markets open, those would really play out in terms of what the markets really hit. So I wouldn't play much on how the US markets reacted initially and the recovery. If you look at what's happening in the Asian markets, the Chinese market is down as expected. In fact, all the Asian markets are down. So there's no reason why the Indian markets will not down. But my major point is that this is a situation which actually is not country specific. So across the world, all the countries dealing with USA have been given a tough hand, which means that intersay between countries, like for instance, when we are looking at India, there's no reason to expect that this is an India centric problem. This is a problem across, especially Asia, which has been hit the hardest. So, therefore, for India, it is not that India is getting worse off compared to China or is doing worse off compared to other trade neighbors. Now, that is a very important point. So, when markets try to correct, they don't have the position to be able to shift to other markets. There aren't too many other markets in the world right now which does trade, which are significant economies. I was just looking at what is happening in the G20, for instance. So if you look at the G20 matrix, there aren't other countries which can say where money can shift out of India to say that these have become safe havens, other than the usual gold or other safe haven currencies as such. There aren't too many things to pull out of India from. So that will obviously be something after the initial profit and loss square off in markets, and that's first thing that will happen in the markets. After that, market participants will realize that there isn't a place to hide in this global war to say, well, India is doing badly, so let's go on to other countries. So that's my first point. Yeah.
Okay. No place to hide. Dilip Chenoy is also with us. Dilip, talk to us now. The first of the tariffs that will kick in will be for the auto sector, will be for auto components and parts and cars as well. If cars become more expensive in the US with these tariffs, how do you think it will play out in markets across the world, especially India?
Look, Karthik, I think if you look at the whole thing as Subhamoy explained, unlike the 2018-19 tariff, specific tariffs were imposed on, let's say, steel or aluminum, 25 and 10%, etc. And India retaliated by increasing tariffs at that point of time. This time it's a bit different. There's this base tariff of 10%, and then there is a differential tariff on different countries. And very interestingly, if you look at our competing countries, the delta in the change in the tariff into the US is very, very small and insignificant in many cases. In some cases, the other countries have a higher tariff, including if you add the base tariff, than India. So I think what's going to happen, and you specifically talked about the auto and the auto component sector. In the auto sector, India does not export any significant amount of autos to the US. Other countries do. So it may actually look like a kind of a protectionist measure for the US auto companies. But you mentioned about the May tranche of this liberalization day, or the tariffs that are coming, where it looks at the component sector. And that's going to be a challenge for not only the exporters, but also for the US automakers, because a lot of them are dependent globally for their components and others, and they don't have the capability and the capacity to actually manufacture these in the US, and it's going to take them some time. So the immediate impact is going to be that that you're going to see some, cost escalation, and therefore, what are people are talking about that these tariffs would be inflationary for the U.S. Economy, and they may not actually, result in short-term gains for the U.S. economy in terms of their ability to manufacture products and substitute them for the imports. So that's what you're going to see in the short term. In the medium and long term, it's going to take a lot of effort and time for people to reshore or start manufacturing of these components in the U.S. So it's actually a mixed bag as far as the U.S. is concerned, and for countries importing into or exporting into the U.S., like Shubhamar said that it is going to be a relative change in manufacturing, and a lot of the Asian countries have close to, or in fact more, higher tariffs than that were imposed on India. So I think it's actually a very interesting phase, and if India and the government and industry put up a partnership and analyze this, there may be opportunities actually to exploit some of this in the short term.
All right, Dilip, stay with us. Karthik, the focus is on auto simply because, we know what's the future. We know where this is heading towards. It's the big fight for EV domination, for electric vehicle domination. And in that sense, this is Trump trying to, twist and turn around the future of it all, because clearly China has taken a massive lead when it comes to, Chinese companies have taken a massive lead when it comes to manufacturing of electric vehicles and electric cars.
Yeah, Krishna, I mean, honestly, I don't know how much Trump tilts in favor of electric mobility. Remember, even at his inauguration, he was talking about
it's a great business opportunity, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's a business opportunity for US-made cars to be sent abroad, perhaps. But the point is that even Tesla's own sales in the US and in the European Union area are tanking. And look at what China is doing with BYD. So the point I'm trying to make is that we may not really find the fact that electric vehicles will continue to be a priority for Donald Trump. That is number one. Number two, talking about auto components which get exported from India. Of course, there is a large market in the US. Detroit is the hub of automobile production in the US. And there are components, engine components, parts, tires, some battery components that get exported from India to the US, among other markets, including Germany, including, many other countries in the world. Now, the point is that what Trump is really trying to do seems to be a little bit at cross with each other, because at one level, Trump wants to rake in more dollar revenue through taxes, and these taxes are the duties which he has now imposed on all imports coming into the US. But at the same time, Trump also wants to make America great again, which means that he will want to offset whatever revenue he is bringing into the US economy by way of higher taxes at some point by encouraging more manufacturing in the US. And for more manufacturing to happen in the US, A, they're going to cross each other out. B, for more manufacturing to happen in the US, he will have to sort of, go slow on all the deportations to multiple countries that he's doing, because where is that factory labor going to come from? And right. Mind you, automobile, like many other industries, is highly competitive. So you will need to keep your costs low, and to keep your costs low, labor becomes a critical input. And for that labor to be a cheaper input, you will have to look at opening borders with Mexico again. Now, sticking with, Krishna, the automobile industry, I don't know if we can pull up what is happening in Japan right now. And remember, Toyota and Honda are both big exporters to the US. And I'm looking at the heat map right now of Japan 225. And look at the numbers coming. Toyota is down about 5% this morning. You've got Honda, which is down about 2.5%. So there is going to be an immediate hit to companies which are exporting cars, completely built up units of cars to the US, and they are subjected to tariffs. So just look at the Japanese markets right now. They opened a few hours before India, and it is a sea of red in Japan. And Japan is not all. There's a similar story coming in from China, and there's a similar story coming in from Germany as well. So the likes of BMW, for example, are tanking this morning.